Welcome back, everyone, to another episode with the Knights of Keira. I was going to go ahead and say Cinematic Realms, but I have to be very careful to differentiate because these are the Knights of Keira streams because I am unabashedly going all in. But we're talking about the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the final in the trilogy at World's End, and I have Christina coming back to join me. Thank you, Christina. It's been a journey, but we're here.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to be here, John, and super excited about this movie. It's been a while since my last rewatch, so it's been good to rewatch it with you.
Yeah, I was saying before we started that like every time I go back to this movie in particular, I enjoy it more and more because I think there's you come to appreciate the richness of the trilogy overall. They really crafted this very detailed, again, rich, beautiful story out of these three films, and again, it's funny to think that this all originated from a Disney theme park ride, but there really is this grand mythology to the whole story, and yeah, I just loved it.
Yeah, I like how they connect like act 1 and act 2 together into a cohesive story. And I remember like a lot of the criticisms of the third film, and I think maybe a lot of people felt it during it, was that it was a little bit confusing, but it's not confusing to me at all on a rewatch. I think it's not so my opinion is that it's not so much confusing, it's just you don't know the characters' motivations at the time because everyone's kind of like double crossing and you don't know who wants what and if they're lying. And then when I watch it on the rewatch, like knowing what's going to happen with Will and with Elizabeth and with Jack, it's like, okay, this all makes sense. I can see it like, yeah, with my 2020 hindsight vision, it all makes sense to me. And I think it's a good example of a really like clean trilogy that's exciting. And there's no character that I'm like, this character doesn't belong here. Because I feel like that with a lot of trilogies, like they'll introduce new things in the second film and it just doesn't work. So I was really excited about how clean this was. There wasn't like a B plot that I didn't care about. That makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Because I think on first viewing, this third one can feel oh, like it's I've heard people say it's there's too much in it, like in terms of characters and plots, but I think you can really start to appreciate the subtleties of what's going on once you take everything in the first time. I liked this time around watching the stuff about halfway through the movie when they're all on the Pearl with Sao Fang, and he's asking, he gets suspicions that Elizabeth is Calypso, and you can see sort of all the glances going around. Like Barbossa's like, oh, I see what he thinks, and uh and then the actual Calypso is like, oh,
Tia
like
Dalma.
yeah.
Oh my
It,
gosh.
it's
And
just really,
Barbosa just kept saying it the whole like that was the thing on the rewatch too. I'm like, wow, he just is just saying it. It's not really a secret, right? I don't know. I didn't realize I don't remember. I was in high school when I think, yeah, when I saw this one, and it was like the first movie I ever saw at 8 p.m. on a Thursday, so it was really exciting for me. But gosh, like I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think they just plain out just tell you that Tia Dalma's Calypso, but you didn't know it in the second movie for sure.
yeah, but again, like I feel like I feel like it's one of the things that what we were just talking about. There's so many sort of you know uh secret plans and plot reversals and stuff. I think that's one of the things that they probably had to try and make extra clear to the audience to make sure that at the last minute we weren't like, wait, huh?
Huh? A
Yeah.
lot of people still were. That was the thing.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of reminds me of like what they were doing with the pilot episode of Game of Thrones, where they were like over stressing certain things, like, and that's Jamie Lannister, the Queen's twin brother. So,
Oh, yeah.
got it.
This hair, blonde. Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I feel like it was better to, be on the side of caution and go overboard with it. But yeah, I do like how those plants were, you know, um, were seated in the second film with the lockets, and then you see that in this film.
What
And
a
like,
sweet little lullaby from, I mean, that's from Hans Zimmer, right?
yes, and I was looking for a reason to just launch into talking about the music,
Go.
because I
Oh, no,
like,
I noticed it so many times. Go.
yeah, this is my favorite score of the trilogy, and I think it's probably one of the best things he's ever written, because there's so many great new themes in this, and you wouldn't expect that from the third movie in a trilogy. You'd figure he'd just be like bringing together themes that were established in the first two films and just letting that do the work. But we've got the theme that's introduced in the very beginning with the little boy singing, and then the Elizabeth Will love theme, which is just so totally gorgeous. Yeah, and those are the two main driving forces, I feel like, throughout the film, rather than even the main pirates theme. I mean, I think you get a sense of that like in the beginning, after the meeting with Sao Fang has gone wrong and they're all kind of on the run and they're fighting against Beckett's soldiers, and that one of those new themes is just sort of playing out over the battle scene. And that's what I love, when music is just allowed to take charge rather than having, sometimes sound effects are the dominant thing during the battle scene, because hello, battle scene. But I love it when a musical theme is just allowed to sort of blanket over that whole thing, and that's what Zimmer does a lot throughout this movie, and most of it is new material. So I think it differentiates this film from the second film, because I remember my original assumption was that these two films were basically just going to be one film chopped in half, and that's not really what they are. Even though they were filmed at the same time, they do feel like two different films.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, yeah, gosh, the third film is really long, but it's good. No, I did read that Hans Zimmer created 8 new songs for. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez. Oh, it was so good though. I love the music and I love the lockets, and just, I mean, it's really sad and tragic, but it it's good. It's good storytelling, especially with Will's fate. And I noticed that they kept hinting at it throughout the movie. Oh gosh, wait, but before I get to that though, what movie starts that way?
Oh, yeah, Disney movie that starts with I mean, not just a
Wow.
kid, not just a kid being executed, lots of people being
Lots
executed,
of
but
people being
but
horribly murdered, yes.
but like primarily the image is of this young kid, being hanged. It's like,
And
oh
with the
wow,
barrel, he stands on the barrel because
yeah,
he's too oh my gosh. I was like, I don't know how they got like, who pitched this? I don't know how they got away with it. I guess I know that they're trying to like make the stakes high, right? And it was, with Lord Beckett getting the heart, it's like I'm like, suddenly super villain. Lord, he wasn't such a super villain in the last film. I mean, he was, but it looks like he took like a really high step further. He's like, oh, now I control everyone and I'm gonna murder everyone, and I don't know. it got really
Yeah,
really
that's,
serious. It really set the tone.
I mean, God, yeah, it's like, because I remember when I got the soundtrack before the film came out, and the soundtrack starts off with the kid singing, but I'm like, oh, this is, nice way to introduce one of the new themes. And then I saw the movie, and it's like, oh, the kid's getting hanged, and we're just going to, have him lead this, chorus of, singing, and then, of course, like you said, Beckett, ever the asshole, like, the guy who's actually reprising the role from part one. We actually saw some returning people from Curse of the Black Pearl in this movie, which I really liked. He comes up and says, Lord Beckett, they've started to sing. And then he's just like, finally, like, yeah, you're like, I don't love Beckett. I hate Beckett, but I love that Beckett is like, he's at once like the most Weasley dude in the world, and like he thinks he's the ultimate
It's
badass
just good
villain.
business. It's just good. Like, okay, you a businessman. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no.
What a downer. What a he's such a tool.
But it's so brilliant because then it gets the end of the young kid singing, and then it just shows, the lever being pulled, and then it cuts the shot of the coin, flipping in the air. It's like, it's so beautifully done. That's the thing. These films have beautiful openings, especially parts 2 and 3. Just it's just.
Is that technically a cold open?
Yeah, I'm calling it cold open.
Okay, I was just because I mean, everyone talks about what was it, season 6 or whatever season of Game of Thrones with the Walder Frey thing being the cold open.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, this is probably a cold. Oh God! And then they had the thing where they were taking their boots off. Like, oh yeah, their boots are. Oh man, woof. Woof, that made me depressed. I was like, whoa. I was having a good day, and then I saw that.
I can't tell if you're being serious or not, Steven. No, no. Mr. Douchebag that we're talking about is Mr. Collins in Pride and Prejudice. And I'm not, like, I have a picture of him. I'm not putting him up yet, because I'll be damned if the first picture I put up in this stream is of Beckett. We'll get back to him later. Because then, of course, the first thing we get after the title screen is cutting to my beauty, Elizabeth. And of course, starting, it picks up with her singing that same song, which, why, for the life of me, can I not hoist the colors? Yeah, well, why can't I remember that? Jeez, that's a pretty big part of the movie.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, and it starts up with her just rowing the boat and singing the song, which leads us into the movie. Which I'm going to say, since the earlier part was a cold open, this is the real first shot of the movie. So of course, Keira gets she's like the first main character we see.
King Keira.
Which of course.
Yes, and Singapore, I love that they went to Singapore. I love everything about this. Oh gosh. Every time I go through these movies and think about them, I'm like, I love this part. I love this part. I love this scene. But I really do. I love all the Singapore stuff. Yes.
Of course.
Of course. Elizabeth. Our king.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, don't get me like, I'm trying to avoid jumping to like her big moments at the end of the film right away. We got to save that. But yeah, I agree. Like, starting off in Singapore, not only is it foreshadowed, because like one of the first things we hear in Curse of the Black Pearl is, clearly you've never been to Singapore. And what it does is it sets this film off on a very different, like, and it makes it feel different from the other films immediately, just the change in location. um, and also the fact that I like that there's a time gap between this film and the last film. Clearly there's been some stuff going on in between.
Yeah, so Barbossa, well, I mean, he came back right at the end of the second film. Yeah, and so it's like, oh gosh. You know what? Okay, so in the Wii video game, they have like extra scenes. So I was going through a little bit of this with Brian.
Here you go, Kelly.
Ooh.
Here's my Elizabeth
Oh my
action figure that you gave me. So
oh my gosh, I need one of those. eBay come through. I love that. No, but I was playing the Wii, or I wasn't playing it. I was watching it on YouTube, the Wii game, because I was like, oh yeah, I remember playing around Singapore, and I just remember that feeling really fun. One, the graphics do not hold up like 10, 11 years later. No, it's not good. But
oh well, I mean, you're talking to the guy.
Years,
you're talking to the guy who would still get immense pleasure out of going back to play GoldenEye on N64. But you look at that thing, and dear God,
yeah,
it's so blocky.
It's really. Oh gosh. Have you seen like the 1980s Dune movie?
No, because
What?
I'm staying away from that until I finish reading the book, because I don't want anything from that film to like enter into my thoughts.
I mean, but you saw the Dune movie, right?
Yeah, the new one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So like the shield, the effects, like the special or the visual effects for the shields were really terrible in that movie in the 80s, and I don't even. Oh yeah, no, that's why it reminded me of like going back to play an old video game. But I was looking, and so like they add these scenes, right? And so there's this scene of video game Elizabeth drinking at the bar with Will and Gibbs and being like, I feel so terrible, I must save Jack. Like it was like giving her the motivation, where that just, I mean, I'm sorry. It's just a really funny scene. I'll send it to you because it's just like ridiculous. It's her sitting like drinking in a bar, like, gotta save Jack. I feel so terrible for leaving him. And, and it's just like, oh gosh. But then I think about it, I'm like, yeah, did they ever have like good times chilling at the bar, just drinking, or were they just always running and in peril, like action sequences?
Well, no, like I said, there was like time in between, so there had to have been just some, hanging around the bar moments.
Yeah, they did expand on them in the Wii video game, but regardless, I did love the Singapore part of the game, but I really love it in the movie. I love how the vibe of the place, how it feels, and then the bathhouse was just so fun. What a fun scene. Yes, and the twins, were they twins? I feel like I knew the backstory at some point of these characters.
Out when after Will
I swear to God, I looked up the twin, like there's another one. Yeah. I looked up their backstory at one point in my life. I'm afraid to admit. They should get a spin-off.
Well, then of course when Will says, it's all like, why are you going to Davey Jones Locker? And Will says, Jack Sparrow, and then the twins giggle, and it's like every time Jack's mentioned, it's like
they're like, oops. Yeah. Been there, done that. Freshman year at Singapore University.
You have to wonder if that's the insult. If that's the insult that Sao Fang is mad about. Who knows?
Sao Fang's mad about a lot. Yeah. I know. Yeah, we need his backstory. Oh, and I got so mad about. Okay, I got so mad that they made her. I get so mad about people. If you know me, you know. I get so mad. I'm like, why is she in the bathrobe? And they did the whole thing where she's like undoing her weapons. Super funny, super cute. And I really do love Kira's range because she can be funny and
Oh yeah, just the
Yeah,
look on her
she's
face,
funny.
like
I mean, she's beautiful. She's funny. She's serious. I mean, I think she got pegged as kind of the serious time period actress, and this is so opposite of that. You know, she's comedic and
yeah,
I love when she's just like taking all of the weapons out of her.
and then the
Yeah.
last one that comes out of God knows where.
Oh yeah, no, and then they're like, they make her undress, right? And she's wearing a robe. And then it's like Barbossa walks through there and he's fully clothed. He has like 3 belts on. It was like, why? What? I mean, make him wear a robe too. I mean, I get it, but
Yeah, but she shows all of them by
she's
the
the
end of the
threat,
film because
obviously.
she ascends to Pirate King. So.
Yeah, I do love that they made it Pirate King and, you know, there wasn't any. And then there was already another woman in the council was cool. So it wasn't like she was the first. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I think those opening moments in Singapore with her, you know, a little unfortunate, especially since they later established that there's, you know, when women pirates that are taken seriously. Like maybe that was a little unnecessary, but then we don't get the comedy of Elizabeth pulling out 1,000 different weapons.
I know that was really good. Where she just,
which is good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so good, so good.
No, it's that last one where she, you know, we'll just say it. It seems that she just pulls that last gun out of her ass. It just reminds me of, I was a huge fan of Highlander when I was younger, and it was so funny because they'd always have like, especially the character of Amanda, who was one of the, you know, the female leads of the show, and whenever she like all the characters, you know, the whole conceit of Highlander is like they do sword fighting. So they like most of the guys like take swords out of their big coats or whatever. And the women would always, of course, you know, being the 90s, would be wearing like skin tight clothing. So it's like she'd just pull her sword out of freaking nowhere. And it's like, what? Where were you hiding that thing?
If you ever watched Broad City, Alana called it Nature's Pocket. I did a rewatch of that lately, so it's a Nature's Pocket. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's interesting because just from a plot perspective, because at the end of the second film, you know, Tia Dalma says, you know, what would you do? What would any of you do to fetch back Witty Jack? And we're led to believe it's because maybe, you know, she has, you know, maybe she likes Jack. She doesn't want to see him gone. But what we see set up in this third film is that there's a whole purpose behind this. And there's a reason why Barbossa has been brought back, because he's needed too. What's really needed is you know,
council.
yeah, is the piece of 8 that Jack holds. So there's actually a valid reason why they need him back in the land of the living, and so there's this whole, you know, plot to assemble all the pirate lords. And I always think it's funny in these types of stories when it's like, oh no, these weren't just like separate characters who sort of vaguely knew each other. No, we're going to bring them all together at the end of the story, and they were all, you know, part of this council.
Yeah, it adds something that they bring in characters like Sao Fang and even like the Pirates of the Council, where they're just, you could just tell that they were full of personality. And I don't know, it's like I didn't feel like there were too many characters at any point. I was like, okay, this is Sao Fang, like maybe I'm not a Sao Fang stan, but he's still there and he makes sense. Like things made sense for the most part, especially plot wise. Like physics wise, no. Physics wise, like it's not as bad as the Fast and the Furious franchise, but it's not too far away.
Oh, you mean like ships like sailing around
like them
Maelstrom.
creating a parachute out of a seaweed mass.
But it's beautiful.
Sorry, what? That was the part where I was. I mean, oh my god, Brian and I were like, well, we had our disbelief suspended, but
Yeah, but like you
wow.
look at any present day movies, like physics has kind of gone out the
Oh my
window
god,
with
no.
major blockbusters. So like I'm
I know.
fine with it. Just
Fast and the
like
Furious is really bad, like all of those. Have you
if
seen
you
them?
distract me enough with, a good story, yeah, I really don't care that much. It's like just keep me occupied with, with crying over a tragic love story and I'm on board. But yeah, yeah, and it is great this whole opening with South Fang, and I really don't want to miss out on talking about Barbossa in this whole sequence because as soon as like we know that Geoffrey Rush is coming back for this movie, it's just so exciting because it brings back in this missing element and that we didn't have in part two that was in part one, and it's so fun the instant he shows up and all of a sudden he's like one of the good guys. and
Yeah. I love
and
that.
it's great.
I love a good evil to good, you know, plot. I love his personality. I mean, he's modern. No, he's not. That's not even modern. It's like a Jamie Lannister arc. No,
I
I
mean,
love him. Look at his personality. I don't know if he's like Jamie Lannister. I don't even stand by that statement, but like, oh my gosh, I love his performance. I love it all.
yeah, because he doesn't really it's not so much that like he doesn't change or evolve that much. It's the fact that our perspective on him has shifted because the pirates are no longer the bad guys by this film. It's you know it's Beckett and the East India Trading Company, and so it's and pirates are the good guys, searching for freedom on the high seas. So all of a sudden we like Barbossa because he's mostly fighting for us, even though he has his own agenda. But
No, I love that he's kind of the stereotype of a pirate, but he just does it so well.
I mean, my favorite bit is
What
the back and forth between him and Jack. What are you doing?
all of their all of their competitive banter just got like a dick measuring contest is kind of to me, but this is by far my favorite dick measuring contest of all time. Yes, I thought it was so funny. It's so funny. They're so fun. I don't know if that makes me basic, but I thought it was so hilarious.
It's great.
All of it was so well done. Like who wrote all these comedic scenes, and where are you now?
That's
what
the
are
thing.
you working on?
I have to know, like the two writers were I think their names are Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio. I think I could be getting some, maybe their first names backwards or something. But like, I'd be interested to know like how much, of the stuff that actually ended up in the film was banter that they wrote, or how much of it was just Johnny Depp just
3 belts here. Just saying.
What?
Jack has 3 belts.
Of course he does.
He has to have one more belt. Barbossa has 2, right? So.
Jeez. And what I loved was like I had my headphones on while I was watching this, so you could hear like the creakiness of Jack's telescope.
I love it. I love that. I was referencing that the other, like I referenced that in my daily life. This telescope measuring contest. Oh gosh, it's so great. And just everything. It's like the what are you or like Gosh, yeah. Woo.
Well, that was established with Barbossa even in the first film when he's like, after Elizabeth, tries stabbing him or whatever, and they're running around the cabin, and he goes, "Arr!"
Arr, I know. He's so good at that. Like that's why he's so good at being a specifically with the R. He's so
Yeah,
typical or sorry, he's so stereotypical, but he's like I don't know, that yeah, Geoffrey Rush just puts his own spin on it that it's so brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant acting.
yeah. I mean, that this is a perfect example of when like chewing up the scenery is actually great because Geoffrey Rush isn't really going for a subtle performance as Barbossa because it's not what's needed. He needs to be like the um not even stereotypical, but the quintessential pirate. And yeah,
Yes. Yeah, just tradition all the way. Except I always loved his I mean, he gives the best singers too. Um like the you best start believing in ghost stories. You're in one. I mean, it's I oh my god. And he said another line like this. I can't remember it off the top of my head right now, but he gave like another one of those deliveries and I was just like how does he do this? It's so great. It's so I mean, what a zinger.
yeah. I'm trying to remember that.
We
I just,
stand Barbossa. I love it.
it's really a shame that Micah isn't here. At least I don't think he is because he freaking loves Barbossa. And so when we were doing the At World's End watch party, like many months back, might have even been like a year ago. I don't know. And pandemic time,
Probably.
I can't even tell with pandemic time.
I know. I think a
Um,
year ago we did our Nightmare Before Christmas stream because I was just thinking it's the season. Tis the season.
but yeah, so between him and me, like the watch party was just a love fest for Elizabeth and Barbossa. Um, but yeah, um, so yeah, okay, where to go on from there? Yeah, we get a hint of a whole bunch of sort of the intrigue going on, especially with Will. Uh, once all hell breaks loose at Salfang's, and we see that, you know, he's he looked like he was caught by Salfang, but no, he was actually like orchestrating something with him, a deal. But he's also working with Beckett, to
Was he holding
to.
his breath in the tub though? I mean, I
I
didn't get
guess
how
so.
he got out of the.
Like I was watching that, I was like, wow,
It was cool, but it was
he's really good at that, I guess.
yeah. Maybe that was more foreshadowing to his fate.
Yeah. I don't know how he did it, but yeah, it's a skill that's definitely gonna come in handy. Um but yeah, so where do we go from there? We get this bit where we find out that Davy Jones is now under Beckett's control because Beckett has the heart, and
Yeah.
it's like he's just the worst.
And Norrington. Norrington. Oh, I felt bad for her. Her dad was like just too naive, unfortunately, for
Yeah,
politics.
and actually there are some deleted scenes for this film that actually, like, there's this bit where Beckett's second in command, over to the right, is like, the governor's been asking questions about the heart, and we, rather than just hear about that, there are some deleted scenes where he's, getting some information about the heart, and and how to, its connection to Jones, and the idea of, what we hear later on, that the Dutchman must always have a captain, and all that stuff, And so, but in the film, we just get to hear about that. And, it's the whole thing, then perhaps he's outlived his usefulness. And the next time we see the poor guy, he's already dead. And
he's in the boat.
Yeah, he's in the boat.
Oy.
So yeah, that's one of the things. I don't think that that Jonathan Pryce is the most well served in this film. He just doesn't get that much to do, but he is rather good in that scene in the boat where he's saying farewell to Elizabeth.
Oh gosh, oh my heart. I mean, the whole so Davey Jones Locker. How about we get into that?
Oh.
Everything about Davey Jones Locker.
I regret that I don't I don't have images of the whole sequence where Jack is just like
do you want me to reenact it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have a rock to lick. I'm so sorry.
Like the sequence starts off just with Jack's nose like going along.
My peanut, yeah. So good. So I love that. I mean, that's what I remember when I think back to the third movie. I'm always like, if you had to think of like one scene from the third, and there's a lot of really iconic scenes, and you forget about them because this one was so well done. Yes, he licked. Yes. So nasty.
It's like rock.
It was like it was so great.
No, like this is, and I've talked about this before. It's great about the second film too, but much more so in this one. I feel like the director Gore Verbinski was really allowed to just sort of be let off his leash and go as weird as he wanted to go, because everything with Jack hallucinating the other Jacks and
this didn't happen until 33 minutes in the film. I love that part too. I noticed that last night. It was like he doesn't show up till 32 or 33 minutes into the,
which is a long time for like,
yes.
we obviously, we're both of the mind that Elizabeth is the real star of these films, but of course, Jack Sparrow and Johnny Depp are, get top billing and all that. So, so, but to not have your, the film star show up until, half an hour into the film is quite something. But yeah, and it's just so crazy. Like all this stuff, like he's clucking like a chicken. There's this shot where he's like moseying towards a freaking goat.
It's so good.
And then the goat just turns and looks at the camera like, what's going on?
Oh my gosh. Just all of it was, I mean, just thinking about how they had to make that and the vision and all of the cuts. I don't even know. I wish I could watch like all the raw footage.
I mean, I just looked at it. I'm like, first of all, who's the mad genius that actually came up with that stuff? And second of all, how on God's earth did they get away with actually doing it?
I know.
Because it's
iconic though.
It's iconic, but it's completely loony. But that's what's so great about it.
I mean, if you had to pick one scene out of all of Pirates, that's gotta be it. Right? I mean, a little. I mean, you would pick. Sorry, I'm wrong.
Yeah, like
I'm wrong.
I mean,
but what was the other? But like, what's her iconic scene?
I mean, obviously, her big speech.
Yeah.
Like, that's when she's really rocking it. So, but we're gonna get there. We'll come
and
back
also, I love that to get to the okay. So then he's having his like trippy thing out there. It's great. It's funny. It's iconic. He licks a rock crab, and then the crab becomes a bunch of crabs, and then it ends up being Calypso. That was
Yeah,
shady.
like, and
That
that's
was shady.
when they, yeah, because when they show up in the locker, like it's you miss it the first time, but you know the crabs are going towards her, and
Yes.
you know,
And
and
then
it's
she
like,
turns into a bunch of crabs later.
yeah, um, yeah, no, I kind of agree with this because I wasn't entirely sure that I loved the Jack in the Locker scenes, you know, back when I first saw this movie when I was younger, but I've come to just absolutely love the hell out of it because it's so
Bizarre.
delightfully bizarre. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they just let him go. I mean, it's like, a lot of these films balance plot and character, and I read that from like an interview with Gore Verbinski said that,
Yeah,
yeah. So he said something like that, the first movie was all character, like the second movie's all plot, and then the third movie was both. And this is just like an amazing character scene with Jack. It's just like this is who I mean, he's a complete narcissist, right? And he loves
yeah,
himself. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, like the Loki thing, right? Where like the variants and wait, you saw Loki, right?
yes, I did
Okay, so yeah,
because you
like
know,
falling in love with yourself. Okay, I'm sorry. Spoilers. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Like like he's with all of his variants and he just loves himself. But no, it's so bizarre. And I love like the white and it's the complete nothing with the ship. I mean, you might
yeah,
be fucking
the
yourself.
the color grading of this whole sequence is interesting because actually there's a shot from this sequence that appears, I think, at the end of the trailer for the film, which is when he like, you know, fires and then like blows on the gun or something. But it looks completely different in the trailer. It just looks like it belongs with all the other footage. But then when you see it in the movie, you realize it's part of this completely insane, you know, sequence, and it's all super, you know, blown out and white, and yeah, it's just, yeah. So context is everything. He's really like out of his mind during that whole sequence, and but like you get a sense of what's going on inside his head because I love the part where he interrupts, you know, version of him that's, you know, tying the rope, and you know he's like, none of this is right, and the other version of him is like, perhaps if, you know, you give a man another chance, and then he, you know, stabs him. He says it's that kind of thinking that got us into this mess. And so you see like what's going on
Yeah.
in his
Yeah,
head.
that's an interesting. I never thought about it that way, but you're totally right. I like that.
Yeah, and arguably you could see that, you know, going back to the end of the second film when he decides to go back to the ship, you know, for everybody, like that's sort of giving into his, you know, his better nature. And but right now he's viewing that as the whole reason why he's been damned to Davey Jones Locker, and the rest of the film is kind of him. Yeah, I don't think we get as much character introspection as for his character as we did in the second film, but you do still get this sense that he's kind of running away from that until gradually he does make a selfless decision by the end of the film. And so I do like that journey for his character uh, in this film.
Yeah, that he. I mean, and it leads into the fourth film, which not that I'm saying anyone should ever watch.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
know
not
it's not
familiar with
canon
this.
to me. It's not canon to me, but it does set up potentially what could have been but never was number 4. But that's okay. It doesn't exist, but it gives him a purpose. His purpose is he wants to live forever, right?
Yeah, which of
He still
course.
gave up the chance, like when it really mattered to someone he cared about.
Yeah, which I I do try stop myself from jumping to the very end until,
Yeah,
you know, we
yeah.
get there. But I as long as we're
I said it
mentioning,
vaguely.
But as long as we are
We didn't know.
mentioning,
Why did you say that? He definitely did that more than once.
yeah, but no, I do like the fact that he ends up in his tiny little boat again at the end of the film. Like it's completely full circle.
I know. Oh my gosh.
But okay, so where do we? Okay, so yeah, the rest of them get to the
Well,
locker,
Davy Jones
and
Locker, right? Yeah, I love when they all get to the. Well, first off, they had to go through all this. Like, where were they sailing? I mean, it was really cool. It was cool.
but it's so beautiful, just the scenery, where everything's frozen over, and poor
Yeah, the
Pentel and
aurora
Rigetti.
borealis around, and I mean, you're really like at world. I mean, that's probably the title, right? Like at world's
Yeah,
end. So, I mean, that's kind of where they were. And then I was thinking, I mean, just like them all out in the cold, and they have icicles on their faces, and I just think like
and the one
I'm like,
guy,
really, y'all want to save Jack this bad? I mean, that's how bad they needed to
the
save.
one guy pulls off his own toe, and it's like,
Oh god,
ew.
yeah, that was nasty. But I mean, it was really beautiful setting of the
Mhm.
scene, and then they go off the with the waterfall.
Well, and I do want to mention again the music, which is the first bits that we get of the Will and Elizabeth love theme actually are playing over these gorgeous shots of the ship like sailing through the ice and everything, and there's that great shot at nighttime where it looks like the ship is sort of floating amongst the stars because you're getting the reflection in the water. It's, oh my god,
So
like,
beautiful. I
it's
love
great.
that. I love it. Yeah, gosh, and again, I love Barbossa's confidence in everything. The man's got confidence. That's one thing. He's just like, ah.
Well, plus he's already been dead,
Yeah, true.
so
Maybe he can't
like,
feel the cold like everybody else. Because I was sitting there, I'm like, why would anyone be that? Because yeah, I used to live in the north, and now I live in Florida, and it's like that's. I never want to go back to the cold
and
ever
before
again.
we
It
before we
reminds me
skip,
of home. I was like, yo, you don't want to be there. They don't even have the proper clothing or anything.
no, they really don't. And I don't. I want to make sure I mention before we go past it that whole bit where Barbossa says, "You ever seen the green flash, Master Gibbs?" And Gibbs starts going on this thing, and then I forget
Tangent.
which one it is, Pentel or Rigetti. I actually don't know which name belongs to which one of
Me
them,
either.
but but he finishes like signals when a soul comes back from the dead, and then and Gibbs looks really mad because he didn't get to finish.
Oh my
Just,
gosh.
I
I know
love it.
Gibbs tangents are my favorite. I wish I had him in my everyday life. Just you're like, oh, that right there.
And so eventually like they go near the waterfall and they all think that Barbossa is completely crazy, and he's like,
Oh my god, when he
no,
just held on to the thing, he's like, whatever. He yeeted them. That's yeet in the dictionary.
he's like, yeah, let her ride straight and true. He really goes off, and of course when they go over the waterfall and the screen goes black and you hear the sounds from the theme park ride.
Yes.
It's,
I
uh,
finally went on that last weekend. I was at Magic Kingdom and I
I
went on it.
I
It was
went
fun.
the last time I went, which was which was quite a few years ago. It's really sad how time just speeds along at a certain point. But yeah, so I have actually gone on that, which I can't remember if that was before or after they added
They
like
stopped
Jack.
selling women. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
That happened. Um now they sell like potatoes. It's like some kind of vegetable auction or something. Um yeah, that was weird. No, but Jack was in there. I mean, I hadn't been on it before, so I've been on the new one as of like October, 28th 2021. So it was really fun, though. I mean, I liked that.
Yeah, and but anyway, so they arrive because after that, then we get the whole sequence with Jack in the locker, and then it cuts to them arriving on the beach, and um, and first we get the crabs crawling towards Teodalma, which
Yeah, she's just like, haha, yeah. I actually need that piece of 8, right? Is that really what it is? She wants the piece of 8 to go
yeah,
so that they free
that's
her.
yeah,
Because that's her deal with Barbossa. That's why she brought him back. That's her
yeah.
motivation. Okay.
And
The
so
whole
she's
film.
like, "Witty Jack is closer than you think," and then and it's great because in a way this next shot is the culmination of, like, we get that bit in the first film where he's riding in on his little boat, but it looks like a gigantic ship, and then finally he does get to ride in on the Black Pearl, and it's coming down the sand, and it's great because that's exactly what they needed a boat, and
It's as ridiculous as ever.
yeah. And then we have this whole bit where Jack thinks he's hallucinating everybody.
I know. I loved him asking everyone the questions and then him getting all mad at Elizabeth. It's really cute.
You're in Davey Jones' locker. I know that. I know where I am. And don't think that I don't.
I know. So fun. Like I just love how they incorporate the funny with the drama. It's still dramatic when I don't oh gosh. I can't even explain it. It's so well done. It blends together, the drama and the comedy of it all. And there's times where it's like, oh, we're fighting and like saying lines and making jokes, but stuff like this really felt genuinely funny. And they set up this whole situation, and they could have this scene where he thinks he's hallucinating everyone.
And of course, he doesn't really get it until he sees Elizabeth, and she says, "Jack, we're really here," and obviously that freaks him out because she was the one
yeah, she's
who killed him.
Sent him there, yeah. Oopsies.
Yeah, so eventually, he does down the ship, and then we get the whole Barbossa and Jack,
My favorite. Oh, maybe that's my favorite. I can't pick a favorite scene.
But
no, there's so much. I would have to have like a top 8 list probably for this film.
Yeah, so there's around this part of the film, there's so many sort of reversals of, like betraying, this person betraying,
Yeah, you don't know what everyone's motivations are, and everyone's backstabbing. I think that was the most confusing part of the plot, was just keeping up with it. But it gets better when you rewatch it and what the outcome is going to be. Makes things easier to understand. It's really confusing when you watch it the first time. I think you're like, what's going on, and why does this person want this? But then it all makes sense.
Yeah, but you know what? You get lots of great comedy to, like, it is sort of mix things up a bit. I do love when Jack and Barbossa are arguing, and and again, I don't know which characters. I'm gonna have to look this up. It's either Pintel or Rigetti. I think it's Rigetti because he seems more like a Rigetti. When he comes up and he's like, "Stow it, the both of you. That's an order. Understand?" Like,
Rigetti's the one with the eye.
Oh, really? Okay, so it's Pintel.
I just looked it up a little.
Okay. And so I love that, he's trying to have his moments of commanding, and it doesn't go so well for him.
Oh yeah, that he's like, I'll put my hat in the ring. Oh, never mind. I know, that was so funny. They're great they're like a great comedy duo, and I mean, I guess trio if you count the monkey
Oh
leader.
God, it's so
The
great.
monkey, the undead monkey, because he's undead because he stole the the piece
Just
of
even
gold at the end, remember? So he's still undead, which is actually good because I was like, wait, that monkey should have died 10 times by now. And it's like,
I love
duh.
because even eventually in this film, you even get Will, saying "Thank you, Jack" to the monkey, and like for me, that's great because that really sort of embodies Will's kind of journey throughout this, to where he didn't want to accept his lineage as his father being a pirate and all, and by this film, he sort of completely embraces
Yeah, and same with
that part of
Elizabeth
himself.
too.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh
think
yeah.
both of them at the beginning of this film, they're like, I'm a pirate now.
Yeah.
Especially with that Beckett guy
Yeah.
around. And Norrington.
Yeah,
Well,
we haven't
actually, well,
we
wait.
haven't even
Ooh, I was gonna say one of my favorite scenes though is when they like flip the boat.
yeah. And of course this is Jack, like he's still at, oh my god, like
I love
I
this
I
scene.
just
Down is
realized
up. Is that
I,
what it's called?
yeah, and I just remembered because he's got the two versions of him coming out from his hair braids.
Up is down. Oh my gosh, that scene. That's. I think the first time I watched it, that would have been my favorite scene. Like I love the concept of the sun setting and needing to flip the boat. Not that any of the mechanics made sense, right? Like, or the physics. There we go. Like Fast and the Furious physics are going on. Because like you really couldn't flip a boat like that.
No, of
But
course not.
but either way,
But
it was really it's fantastical, right? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
yeah, I
It
mean,
was so much fun.
I always say it's fine if something like breaks breaks the laws of physics, or something's unbelievable if the movie makes you believe it, like even
Yes.
if it's not
Mhm.
really possible. And and so and I buy it within the context of the film, even if I know
Yeah.
in real life it wouldn't work.
Yeah, no, I love how even like, Jack figures it out and then he's just trying to like trick everybody into running back and forth. And then everybody kind of gets it and then they all start and I love
We're
how
rocking the ship.
Yeah, I like how Barbossa goes down and he tells everyone to loose the cannons and loose all the like I liked how they all worked at a team as a team in that um in that context. And
Yeah,
how they
I
work as a team towards their greater goals.
is a scene that we did kind of skip over that happens pretty quickly after they rescue Jack, is that there's a scene between Will and Elizabeth where um, he realizes what actually happened, and he can stop being Mr. Jealous boyfriend. but
Jealous boyfriend. Good sir.
but yeah, they're still not in a good place. Which am I bringing up the scene just so I can post this picture
Oh.
of Elizabeth? Maybe.
Oh
I
yes,
don't
the
know.
mouth. I love when she
Uh,
does the mouth thing.
yeah, but no, it establishes that they still are not on a good footing because they don't. Like he says, if you make your decisions alone, how can I trust you? And she's like, you can't.
Oh gosh, my first thought when I watched this scene, I was like, wow, they have a really quiet arguing style.
Yeah.
Like who argues that quietly? And it was but it's true though, like they were very not in a good place for like the first half of the movie. I mean, geez. I mean, for most of the movie, what am I thinking? It's
Yeah.
like they were not. Yeah, they needed to go to couples counseling for sure.
Yeah. it's really not until like, and we can't get there yet, but
Yes.
it's really not until, the best wedding scene in cinema history that they're like completely back to where they need to be. Um, now I'm going to take a minute to indulge in that. Like,
Oh
isn't that
my
just the
gosh.
greatest?
Yeah, it really was. They were really
um, like it's
hot,
so like okay,
but
I know,
I don't
like,
know.
and I'm fine with just jumping around because I know
Go for it.
we've
No,
been
I want
trying
to know
to
about the wedding scene
we've
right
been
now.
trying to go through, in film order,
There's so much.
but there's so much of this movie that it just kind of feels like, let's just jump around. I No, what I love about the scene is it's so like joyous, just, and again, Hans Zimmer's music is just so great for this because in like their love theme is, as much as I adore all the music for all these films, but like the main theme of the films is very much more of more of a Hans Zimmer action theme than what you'd traditionally expect for like a pirate film. Uh, and I feel like the Will Elizabeth love theme and the way it's used, especially in a sort of like an action setting, is it feels like, something more that you'd expect from a like swashbuckling adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way it is played throughout, when they're, you know holding on to each other and swinging their swords and fighting off other people, and it's like a dance what they're doing, and the music just works so well with that.
Yeah, it
And
elevates it. It's
yeah,
not. It makes it. It's not even. I hate to say serious, but more when you say like it's not a swashbuckling, thing like that. That yeah, the whole feel of the music really elevates it. And oh gosh, and the performances, and I mean Barbossa officiating. I was like, damn, where was he at? I needed him as an officiant. No, my father-in-law was my officiant, so that was great. But this would be a solid number two, right? I mean, gosh.
yeah. Well, and they set that
You
up.
should hire a wedding like that, right? Like a wedding planner.
Yeah, well, they set it up
That would be a
when
good option.
in Dead Man's Chest when Jack says, I am a ship's captain, and as such, I could perform a marriage."
Yes.
And so that sets up the fact that Barbossa can do that as well. So, like, Will proposes, and then we get the classic.
Yeah.
I don't think now's the best time.
Yes.
And then
I wish I looked
Will's
that
like,
good in the rain. Like when I get soaked, it's not so pretty. I thought that. I was like, damn, because I got poured on the other week at Halloween Horror Nights, and no. Oh my gosh, no, they look so amazing. I love everything about it. Like it gives me butterflies when I watch it. My cold heart is pumping full of warm blood again. It's amazing.
but we do get this great comedic moment, in between when Will says, "I've made my choice. What's yours?" And then Elizabeth says, "Barbossa." And Will's confused look is
like,
great.
I know, because she's totally like, how could we make this official right now? And then she's like, Captain, Barbossa. Yeah, oh my gosh. I love that, because you're like, wait a second. Did you guys... I know we weren't together officially, but... he was like, wait, what? Were we on a break?
What did you have going on with Barbossa while I was gone?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was technically before they got together. I think she's okay. No.
But and then Barbossa's response, "I'm a little busy at the moment."
Oh my gosh, I know. And there's like four guys. It was fun because it was like I didn't, I guess as you can tell in this webcast that I'm like, I do tend to like pick apart movies if they don't feel real or convincing. Like, and it was choreographed in such a good, the choreography of all of it was really great, and
it's
there was
beautiful.
so much. It's just like you could tell that there was so many different people working together towards this common goal, and they all made, the choreographers, the writers, the music, all of it just culminated in this amazing scene. And the wedding, I mean, it gave me like, I got all like butterfly, and then I felt cringy about that. I felt that way. I was like, oh God, why is the movie making me feel this way? But it's true. I loved it.
And like I was saying before, the whole scene is so like joyous. I love that when Will says, "Do you, Elizabeth?" and she's just like smiles. She goes, "I do."
Yeah.
It's just so great.
Damn, her eyebrows are staying on in the rain. Sorry. Nice brow game, girl. Sorry, brow game, recognized brow game. I was like,
yeah. Which, and there's another beat in that the vow exchange that I absolutely love. It's when she's the one giving saying it, and she's like, "And you, Will Turner, take me to be your wife," and she's like holding up her arms, and it's just with the music, and it's just so beautiful the way. That's the thing, like the performances, the music, the choreography, everything just works together so beautifully. And then of course, we get, the kiss, which, is Barbossa going, "You may kiss."
Oh,
you may kiss, just kiss.
Yes, I know. It was so good. Oh, and I know, like, this is the part where I was like, oh, I feel so cringy, but I love it.
It's great because
it's
in the grand Hollywood tradition of, yes, everything's going to slow down. Like, nobody's going to disturb them during this moment. It's just, yeah, I absolutely love it. It's like, again, one of those great Hollywood moments, and it absolutely works for the film. And it's just so beautiful. We do get this beautiful moment before things go downhill.
Yeah, wait, I'm trying to see what's going on in the background, like with those guys. I'm like, okay, so everybody else is like caught up in bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I was afraid because I'm like, oh my God, don't get stabbed, one of you, as you're kissing. But yeah, everything was just so beautiful. It was great. They had plot armor. Their plot armor was on.
Yeah, this isn't Game of Thrones.
Plot shield was
plot
high.
armor does still work.
Mm-hmm.
At least for now.
Yeah, for now.
For the moment.
Yeah, until the ooh.
But,
oh God. I know. I mean, and you know what she's like, they never said it was like in sickness and in health, and it was like, and then they made a joke. No, someone said that the Barbossa shippers had 1 second of glory. Cloaked one said all the Barbossa and Elizabeth shippers had that 1 second of glory.
And Steven's making sure that I remember to do a mid-roll before I get too caught up in my swooning.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and pause.
Those shippers. Pour one out. I don't have a drink. Pour one out to the shippers. Oh my gosh.
We'll pause there. Do the mid-roll.
Yes.
So next week I'll have Kelly on the channel, and she is aware of the fact that she's going to be on. So we're going to be talking about the film Sin City. And I actually don't have anything scheduled yet for the week after that. I have things scheduled after that, but I need to set something up for the week after. So I'll let you guys know about that. And Kelly. Oh, yeah. No, don't pretend like you don't. And tomorrow, be sure to tune in to Here Be Dragons. I won't be on there, but Stephen is going to be interviewing Clint from Learned Hands, and so you guys aren't going to want to miss that. That's going to be great, and yeah, and actually, I don't think we even have anything scheduled on Here Be Dragons after that. We have to have a staff meeting. So yeah, that's it for me. Christina, you got anything going on that you want to plug?
Thankfully, no. Let's see. Tomorrow I'm going to the local cannabis festival. It's gonna be great. And then and then I got Thanksgiving coming up. And then John's coming over, and we have to figure out what we're doing, but that's my schedule.
Yeah,
I think
it'll
I'm
be
going to
something. It'll be
Collective Con.
something Star Wars.
Oh
for
my god,
sure.
I know. I've been so into Star Wars lately. Like, okay, so I will say Collective Con, right? Or
Mhm.
maybe appearing at Collective Con in March, and then and appearing by meaning we're attending. And then sorry, not to be gas lamping anybody. And then I got the Galactic Star Cruiser reservation. So I'm going on the Galactic Star Cruiser in March, and definitely I'll be like taking a lot of pictures and stuff with that. So follow my socials. My Instagram's at that wild blonde. So if you want to follow me there, you can see my adventures.
And of course we have Here Be Con in January. I can't remember if you said are you coming to Here Be Con?
Oh, I didn't know it's in January. I thought did it okay, well we'll talk. Maybe
because
my work
originally
got crazy.
because originally we were doing it this year and it was supposed to be in October, I think. And just with everything going on with the Delta variants and everything, it our plans got postponed. So now it's going to be in January. So,
Ooh.
so yeah, it'd be great if you guys could make it.
Well, we'll certainly try. I know that my work is just my boss quit at my work, so it's been like now I'm the boss. Yeah. Yeah, real life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Love the job.
I keep saying like a whole bunch of stuff that I want to go do. Now that things are happening again, but but then I realized that I can't be asking for too much time off of work because I do actually have to work at some point. So
Real jobs. Wah.
yeah,
I don't like it. Except if they're looking at me. I sound a lot. Wait, I don't know. I don't know what that. I thought they were saying I sounded louder. Oops.
okay.
Sorry.
So yeah, I think that's about it for the mid roll. Let's dive back into the movie because actually, that's the thing. There is a lot to talk about from this movie because it's very long. So hence, let's just start jumping around. We already started with the wedding scene. Let's go ahead and talk about the Brethren Court and and the gathering.
Keith Richards. Keith Richards being whatever that was.
Captain T, the keeper of the code.
Oh, yes.
Which of course then
that they're just guidelines.
But yeah, and the whole how's mom?
Mom. Oh gosh.
She looks great.
Is that's the behind the scene because it wasn't that bright.
No, this is just a production still.
Wow. Look at the costumes. And I know that Johnny, didn't he say that he based his character off of Keith Richards and so him playing the dad?
Yeah. Which, that's fitting. Yeah, no, and I love his entrance where, the one pirate is like, hang the code, and then he gets shot. It's like, nope, that's not gonna fly.
Yeah, don't. No.
But yeah, and there's a whole bunch of stuff before that, but I think I'm hitting on the funny moments. I love when they bring forth the code, which is this gigantic big book, and then Captain T, whistles for the key, and it's the dog that somehow got there, and Pintel and Rigetti are like, what? And the explanation is sea turtles, mate. Sea turtles.
Sea turtle. I know. Where's the deleted scene that the dog riding up on the sea turtles? Oh my gosh. No, I love the dog. I mean, because that's like the definite callback to the ride, right? Is that jail scene with the dog?
Yeah.
Is probably the biggest callback to the ride. So that was really. I'm glad that he showed up. Doesn't matter how he got there, sea turtles or not. It doesn't matter. I mean, wasn't he on the island?
Yeah, because
like
the post credit sequence of Dead
he's
Man's
got some
Chest
airline miles.
is like him being, all of a sudden him being, propped up as the god, which you wonder how he got out of that situation, because it seemed like that he was about to get eaten.
Yes.
But I guess he was fine.
Yeah, they don't like dogs. They have one delicacy they prefer.
But so they're waiting for Southfind to show up, but of course he's dead. Having been killed, and Elizabeth is, he made Elizabeth captain, thinking that she was actually Calypso. Like, that's what every goddess wants, right? To be made captain of a pirate ship.
Yeah. I mean, it's all at that point it was all he could give, right?
Yeah. Which, like, isn't it great that, like, he got exactly what he deserved at exactly the right moment?
Yeah, because I mean, he was kind of forcing himself on her.
Yeah.
Okay, I watched that and I was like, whoa, there. That's not cool.
Which, by the way,
Don't
can we
do
just
that.
can we just give it up for the costume design of this scene? Oh my god,
so gorgeous!
Like, yeah,
look at the beating and the, oh gosh, it's not fair. It's not fair. I want these things. Okay. I haven't seen it like this before. And everyone was so tan.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in Florida. Like, I just don't go outside that much. Look at how tan everybody is. Everyone's just like caked in a fine layer of like spray tan dirt or something. It's amazing. I mean, I assume they were just filming out in the Caribbean so much, but either way, look at this outfit. It looks like something you'd see in a museum.
Yes, she absolutely does. I mean, yes, it absolutely does.
Who needs hair? Jeez. Yeah, bronzer. Oh god, I know about bronzer.
Sorry,
that was like my high school.
Obviously, my contribution to conversation is limited here, because I'm just like, let's just post the pictures and just let them do the talking.
I know. I want to wear that hat.
Anyway, sorry, where were we?
Yeah, I know. If only I cosplayed, if only I cosplayed back then, but also not like I would ever make a hat like that. Like, yeah, wow. It's something that could go in a museum, the beating, and I'm a huge fashion stan when it comes to museums and all that, and I just like, I wish I could see it in person. Just all the work that goes into it.
I have to really say, like, especially when I go back to it's really all the films. Like, I can't believe that these films didn't get more in terms of like awards attention for like even like the technical categories. Like I know that they got like some visual effects and sound effects nominations, but
Yeah.
like the costume design all throughout these films was just absolutely breathtaking. And it's just unfathomable to me that it didn't get attention for that. And I think that at least the first film got a makeup nomination, so that's good. But like that's the thing. I think that blockbusters tend to like unless they break through and they're getting like you know the bigger nominations like Best Picture and
Yeah.
stuff, and then they're not even that much considered for some of the lower tier categories. It seems to me that usually they just get thrown into the visual effects and sound
Yeah.
categories, which is unfortunate.
It's all rigged.
I know.
It's all rigged. I did know someone who was a voter for the Oscars, and like they gave me their DVDs, which they're not supposed to do, but it's fine. It was cool though. It's cool to have like a Screen Actors, or wait, it was like an Oscar preview DVD.
But anyway, before Elizabeth does get to the Brethren Court, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on with her when she's, taken aboard the Dutchman, and then Norrington is there, which let's go ahead.
Norrington segment. Oh gosh, he got. I mean, he snitched,
Yeah,
he snitched.
I've always said I kind of wish that he had a little bit more in this film, but when I go back and watch it, I actually see that it is a pretty good character arc overall. For him, I like the bit that he says to her, as she's leaving, where he says, "Our destinies have been enjoined, Elizabeth, but entwined rather, but never joined." That's what he says, and I just feel sorry for the guy. Like,
he could have married a nice girl and like settled
his
down.
Life got derailed really through, not really any fault of his own. He was just,
Yeah, he was in the wrong place, the wrong time, like in the wrong girl.
Yeah.
Just, oh no. I know. It's sad, and I mean he died heroically at least, but
and I do love, that bit, James Norrington, do you fear death? And his response is that he does the stab.
Yes.
Jones, who then says, "I'll take that as a no."
Oh my. Yeah, I know. And then Bootstrap, right? And
yeah, oh God, yeah. Memo, do not go into the bridge if you're a member of the of the Flying Dutchman, because you're gonna go really fast. Your mind's just gonna.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. And like I love the effects when they were in the ship. Like the character. Bootstrap was like part of the ship, and then Johnny Depp was part of the ship later. And
or one of him was.
Yes. Who knows? And he lost his brain. But
nobody move! I dropped me brain.
I dropped me brain. I know. I love. So good. I love when that happened again. It was fun. They have a lot of like it has amazing continuity. Like there's so many beats that play off of each other, and I like that about the movie. It as a viewer, it makes me feel like wow, they really thought this out. It's not just put together. I don't know. It's really smart to me.
Yeah. Talking again about Bootstrap, there's a really beautifully sad scene between him and Elizabeth when he starts to tell her what it's going to cost Will if he frees him, and the way he says he won't choose me, I wouldn't choose me. It's it's just so horribly sad, and then then I just start thinking about the end of the film.
I know,
what
and it's
happens.
all
It's
set up, and it's
yeah,
really beautiful how it plays out, even though it's really sad.
yeah,
The whole, I mean, because he's a young man that really did lose his life. Um, I mean, ugh, ugh.
yeah,
His
and
story, I mean, it all ended really well, and it but it was very sad, and yeah, with the father, and oh gosh, that scene where she's talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, you're Elizabeth," yeah. Oh,
and then once he steps back into the ship, and then you know and then it all starts over. He's like, my son, like he's completely blanked out. It's yeah, just
it's really sad, the whole situation, just all around. It's almost,
and then when you see him, uh, when Norrington is freeing, Elizabeth and the pirates, and that's when we get Bootstrap, first saying part of the ship, part of the crew, which is a thing that keeps coming back, and then it's very like just chills when you get to the end of the film, and when they go to you know to take Will and take out his heart, and they're all chanting, part of the ship, part of the crew, part of the ship, part of the crew. It's just, oh my god,
yeah.
it's chilling, but it's very sort of epic and grand at the same time.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I mean, it makes sense in a sad way, and I mean, it's one of those things where I think about movies, and you think about like, okay, this is an action adventure movie, but a lot of it is fantasy too, like the magic of the world, and having this boat, and the curses that actually work, right? And
Yeah,
this kind of deal that the Flying Dutchman must always have a captain, and its heart must be in a chest, and is part of the deal that like, do you have to be in love too? Because like that's the thing I thought with Jack. Like, he wanted to do it, but I'm like, I don't think it would have worked, because there wasn't the cost of like not having a loved, not having to be like disconnected from a loved one. So I was thinking, like, after they got married, you know, whoops, you're stuck with him.
yeah. I don't know if, because I don't think they ever really addressed that, whether that's something that's necessary, but it's obviously a huge theme of the films, because
I
you
mean,
got
right before Davey died, he looked at them and he's like, "Oh, you're in love." Like, right? I mean, that, to me, that is kind of saying, like, I think that's part of the recipe, but
but for me, like, that the reason why he did that is because it would be extra cruel at that point uh, to not only separate them but also force Jack to make that choice of, is time to put your money where your mouth is. Are you really that selfish, or are you gonna be forced now to give up immortality to save this man in some form? So yeah, it's that's an exceptionally cruel moment from Davy Jones, right there at the end.
yeah, and yeah, the whole. I mean, can we talk about the whole deal with Will's fate? It's
Yeah, go ahead. Like,
it's just like, so. I mean, it's just sad, but okay. So I was thinking about, so they are like barnacle-y men because Davy Jones didn't do his duty by ushering the souls into the passing world.
yeah, and to whatever you want to call it, the land of the dead, the world
Yeah.
beyond, whatever. And so essentially, once the Dutchman gets a new captain, it's everything like it's a fresh start, basically.
Yeah,
So
so that's why
so
like his dad looked normal.
yeah, which is again why like I don't want to dwell on it because first of all you haven't seen it and second of all it doesn't exist, but like that's another reason why I like hate the attempt at the fifth movie, um, because it completely ignores that element and the movie starts off and like the crew are all barnacly and even Will has some of that on his face and stuff, and so they completely ignore like that part of the plot, hence why like nothing about that worked. So for me it didn't happen, so just um
No.
yeah, so yeah, that's the whole deal. Like they'll look perfectly normal so long as as the ship is doing what
Yeah.
it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and that's why he can't come back, once but 10 years.
Yeah, which, and when we get to the end of the movie, as like, and I'm talking the very very end, the last scene after the credits, which shows him coming back 10 years later, and it's like it's a moment of joy, but it's also like he's still only gonna get one day, and then it's back out of the
Yeah, I mean,
sea.
how do you split that up when you've got the kid, I mean, do you
Yeah,
just it's like, well, now mommy and I've got to make you brothers, sisters ASAP.
it's like
Like she's got to time her
it's like
ovulation. There's a lot of math going on.
it's like, wow, kid, you've really grown. Nice to see you. Just need some time with your mom. Be back in a couple hours.
BBL, yeah. Oh my god. We're gonna go and watch some Netflix, and you can. Oh my gosh. I know, and I'm always just. Oh my gosh. I won't get into it too much about. I hope she's still the pirate king at that point because please.
Well, that's another thing. I told you,
I mean, the
like,
kid was singing the pirate song.
yeah, like
So
that's the other thing. Like in that scene at the end of this movie, she does look like like she's still. I don't have one of the wider shots except for this one from the back, but she is in like clothing that suggests that that she hasn't gone back to the life of an aristocrat or anything like that, which is kind of what they imply with the fifth movie, which is another reason why I refuse to acknowledge it. But yeah, no, like yeah, so that ending scene is really, you know, there's some joy there, but again, it's just driving home the sort of sadness of what's happened.
yeah, I
Um,
mean it's I guess he could have had a dead dad or that's better than that, I suppose. But you got to fit a lot into that day. It's like get your monster energy out. You're not sleeping. And it's just a sun up to sundown. I mean, is that even a full day?
yeah, I don't know. It's not fair either way, but God, but that whole bit with um yeah, talking more about when Jack has that moment of, when he's holding the heart and the knife. I really love the look on his face because it's what I was saying earlier, it's sort of the fulfillment of his character arc because he can either choose immortality for himself, which is what he claims, he wants above all else, which he still wants it because he's going after it in another way at the end of the movie. but
Yeah.
but but when push comes to shove, he's really grown to care and love about love these people. So uh so he
Yeah,
makes
he wanted to do like the right thing, I
Yeah.
think.
And so he, allows Will to be the one to do it. But like, my heart just breaks watching that whole sequence, especially as he's pulling Elizabeth away, and she's just like, they're sobbing and just holding Will, and she doesn't want to go. And you commented earlier about the lack of realism with the way they just sort of fly away. But like, for me, that's so beautiful.
Oh my god, when they were on the parachute. That was the part where I just thought, like, okay, I guess that's a way to get out of there, but wow. It's okay though, but it's not Barnacle Will. I'll take that.
But it's the here's a shot right here, but it's the way that's like,
it was sad though.
Yeah, it's sad.
She had to leave him, and like so Calypso does the maelstrom, which was like a big. I mean, that's what they called the level in
the
maelstrom, whatever it is. Maelstrom. The storm of mail. I can't even look at that word seriously anymore. Anyway, so it was the name of the level in the Pirates game. That was really fun. I liked the the huge whirlpool, and just the way that made like a boat fight. So dynamic.
Maelstrom, not maelstrom.
Oh man, thank you. Maelstrom. It's close enough. I don't use. I mean, God, but like, I don't use that word in everyday life. When have you run into one of those? It's raining men, yes. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I got it confused with the more common one.
Oh my god. No, we gotta like, we have to rewind though, because we jumped right to the end, but like
I'm going back to the storm.
But like the whole build up to the battle, I want to talk about, because we get this great Western moment where they're walking up to.
Yes. Oh my god! And I love the detail that there's like theirs are the only footprints in the sand.
Yeah. Really lucky that there was this, strip of dry sand, like in the middle of this particular body of water.
Yeah, they had to film it so many times. That's how they got so tan.
But no, this whole exchange is great, where just there's this whole game going on where Jack obviously wants to be over on the ship, and so they're playing it to do a prisoner exchange, basically, and to make Beckett think it's his idea, and all of that stuff. It's great. And then of course the line I love is when Will's like, "Pirate King," and she's like, "If the brother in court, Jack's doing," and he says, "And maybe he really does know what he's doing." Like, damn right.
Damn right. I know. I love that scene, and it was a good time. I think it's like when things started to come together as far as people's intentions, and yes, Davey Jones.
Which, like, yeah, that's the loophole. Like, can't set foot on dry land, but...
Well, then why isn't Will getting a bucket? Like, let's get Will a bucket. Maybe he can see his wife.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's... sure,
That's how
it's
he's
yeah,
Barnacle Will.
he won't be as perfectly mobile, as the once every 10 years, but like those are those would be the trips for his son, where like where standing in the bucket will perfectly suffice.
I feel like someone thought of that later. Like they had a continuity person on the set. It was like, wait a second, this doesn't work. This is a plot hole. And then someone said, bucket. My bucket. It makes no sense, but it's there. It's a time portal. It's just
It is great visually, though. I just find it
yes,
funny. Just
and it's silly. It makes no sense. I love it.
so and then we get Attack of the Giant, 50-foot woman.
Oh, Calypso. And then she turned into a bunch of crabs. And it
Like
was
I remember when
like,
I
why crabs?
this was one of the
Why
things
not
that
barnacles?
when I first saw the film, this really didn't work for me. I'll be honest. I was like, "What the hell is this?" But again, over the years, I've come to really accept that this film, in particular, is so wonderfully bonkers that, like, you know, it just I don't know, it just works for me now. It's like, of course, she grows to this gigantic tall height and then bursts into a bunch of stone crabs. Like it's just so like what the hell just happened? It's
So
great.
I guess it is really bizarre now that I think about it. The bucket is getting me though. The bucket. And her turning into a bunch of like giant woman I don't know. Yeah, that one looked bizarre. I mean, it would have been a great effect for Alice in Wonderland, but I don't know if it belongs here.
I don't know. Like I said, it works for me now just because it's especially especially now that I've noticed like it's something that I didn't pick up on the first couple times I saw the film, but now that you go back to the scene in Davy Jones' Locker when the crabs are like crawling up to her and all this stuff, it is set up, and so because of all that stuff, it really does. I don't know. It works for me. It's crazy and it's loony and it's it's something that you'd never think to put in like a mainstream blockbuster. It's like it's just one step too bizarre, I think, for most audiences, and that's what's so great about it. There's stuff in these movies that are just beautifully what the fuck.
Yes. I know. I love the personality that it all has, and that all these great actors can have these big personalities and all share the screen together, because that usually doesn't work. The ensemble was really well done. The casting, I mean, the acting, all of it.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, all three of these films are beautiful ensemble pieces, and you've got the trifecta of Jack, Elizabeth, and Will. And yet in some ways I do feel like each film has like the focus is kind of with one of them, and I mean they all three share a lot of screen time in each three films, but I kind of feel like the first film is told a bit from Will's perspective. Dead Man's Chest, Jack's, because I think you get a lot from his perspective in that more than in the other ones. But the third one is, in my mind, unquestionably Elizabeth, firmly at the center, because she's in most of the film. Whereas I think Dead Man's Chest, she's off screen for a while. But
Her Pirate King outfit is stunning.
Yeah. And um and so, her big, moment, which of course I'm saving I've saved for towards the end. But it's just great because it's the culmination of her character arc throughout all of these films, and really taking, that mantle of, as she says it, king,
Yes.
onto herself. And it's just it's great. And
I love
yeah,
that it's not a debate. I love that it's like king. Oh yeah, when she's just like king. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Our
but yeah,
humble king. I mean, seriously. Oh, that outfit. Look at the
it's so great. Like,
so unbelievable. She's just power serving this. Ah, yeah, I'm Gibbs right now. Look at, I'm like, so just
but
all
yeah,
hail my king.
I'm
Holy
gonna go ahead and say,
wow,
like,
go.
obviously I'm completely biased in this regard, but I think that uh Elizabeth's, hoist the colors speech, like, especially around this time in blockbuster cinema, would kind of wiped the floor with like a lot of other sort of quote unquote battle speeches. Because I think they had a lot of actors trying to do like the, Mel Gibson, Russell Crowe, you know, you know, type speeches, and they kind of came up short. And then I remember seeing this in theaters and was like, holy shit, she's really, you know, showing off a commanding presence doing this. And I just think it's a phenomenal scene. And of course, the only thing that kind of cracks me up every time I watch this is the way all the pirate lords, like, on the other ships, like you know, cheer at the end of the speech and stuff, and then they don't really do anything.
It's like, wait, did you hear what she said?
Well, no, I mean, like, they don't
Yeah.
do anything in the battle. It's like it's like the Black
Well, they
Pearl
stayed
does.
away from the mailstorm. There were too many mails out
Yeah,
there.
the Black Pearl does all the, the action, and then it's like at the very end they're cheering because, like, we didn't have to do anything. Yay!
That's how I feel at work.
Yeah, but sorry, I'm just gonna post all of these because just see the
Oh,
way her hair is blowing, and oh my
yes.
god, it's
And tan. She's so
yeah.
tan in this movie. It's crazy.
Oh, and yeah, and the way she ends with just gently saying, "Hoist the colors," she.
Yes.
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah, keep going. I'm here for this legend.
Yeah.
Ah! Oh, I wish that was me.
Oh, yep. And there, there
Gosh,
we go. Power shot.
I really love her character in the journey, and Kira's performance was really well because it's like she's still kind of like who she was the whole time. It just she just came out of her shell, and yeah, Pirates 3 Kira is woo. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the tan, the hair, the confidence, just I mean, that's the thing. I'm like, does she know how to, sail a boat? She kept like having Barbossa do it.
Oh yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean
when
that.
did we see her like steering the ship?
Yeah, but
Does
that's
she
that
know
that.
how to, anything about boating? I mean, she definitely was like port side at one point, but
But I do love that moment where she's like, "Yeah, Captain Barbossa, we need you at the helm." Aye, that be true. you know.
I know.
And
I
then
thought
like
that. I'm like, does she even drive? I'm like, the Pirate King.
he's fully in his element there, though.
Yes.
He's spinning the wheel and he's
Oh
throwing
yeah,
out a whole
he's
bunch
the
of.
best one to get because he got them into the locker.
Yeah.
Nobody else could have done that. Nobody else was crazy. Like maybe Jack would be crazy enough. And that's the thing. Like Jack is just really good technically. I mean, the sword fight with Davey Jones, and all of his little stunts with the ropes. Like he's clumsy yet precise.
Yeah, this is
Yes,
what I'm saying.
delegate.
Like
Yes, of
delegation.
course.
That's
Yeah, the best
that's
leaders are delegators.
exactly.
I agree. Well, yeah, she's definitely the smartest person in the room.
But yeah, so yeah, I guess I didn't have anywhere to go after the Kira reel of pictures. So
That's the best place to end, I think.
um
King Kira.
yeah, no, we, and then we get the pretty much
Beckett death.
the sexiest scene in a Disney film. Which is, the off-screen love scene.
Oh, what the kissing of the boob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I felt that too. Yeah.
I'm like, we know what happened. Oh,
I know,
yeah.
and then she smiled, and I was like, "Damn!" And then he like only made it to her knee. I was like, "What?" It's like, what are you giggling about? Right?
Oh no,
Yes.
he went further than the
No,
knee.
that was the knee. Like after that, I swear, I thought he was in her chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, the knee kissing scene. I know.
But again, like the
So
romance, the swooning,
Yeah.
the music,
They're really
it's
well
all,
cast, and their chemistry was really good.
yeah.
The Lord's kiss. Oh my gosh, I know. Ah, it's so true.
Yep.
Yes. Oh yes, I felt the same way when I read it in the book than when I saw it on this. That's the same, like, giggly feeling I felt inside.
Of course, I do like get a chuckle out of the fact that he gives her the heart and he's like, "Will you keep it safe?" And she's like, "Always." And first thing she does is set it down on the rocks to go kiss him one more time. It's like, hey, watch it.
Yeet. Pun it like a football. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, if she's committed, that's something.
But again, just look at these shots. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. That's why like these movies are so underrated, and just overall execution. I mean, just
throw on like very accessible to anyone.
Yeah, that's why like
set down close to the edge. That's so true. Look at it; it's not even in the middle of the rock. It's like it could tumble over.
It's like I just figure like right after that shot ends, like if you go into the raw edit and watch like the frames after that, it falls off the rock and then they're like, oops.
It's like, oh, I'll pick that up. What's the point? It's like an iPhone case. Like
she's like it's not going anywhere. Don't worry.
It's like how I have like the life protector case. Just clumsy.
And then the final scene that we get, before the credits is, Jack thinking he's gotten his ship back and it's off into sailing off.
You started. Same place where you started. That was fitting.
Mr. Gibbs, any reason why my ship is gone? The ship. We're on the ship. Jack, the ship's gone.
It's so funny, and he's with Gibbs, and then the women slap him and take all you can and give nothing back.
Yeah, which again, calling back to the first film, there's such beautiful symmetry, with this ending. Or I say ending. To me, the real ending is the post-credit sequence. But but it's great because, again, like I said, Jack is back in his little boat, just like he was at the beginning of the first film. And
after all that he went through, he's just at the same
but
place that he
but
started.
well, yeah, but not quite, because this time he played it smart, where he took, the important, cut out the important part of the
Yes,
map. And,
true.
and there's just that great shot with Barbossa when he takes out the map. He's like, "Gents, I give you the fountain of youth." And he goes, "Sparrow."
Yeah, I love it.
And then there's Jack singing his song again, and then the music gears up as he drinks the rum, and he's sailing off into the distance, literally sailing into immortality. So
yeah, just a really great trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, and that's, again, like, serious talk. The other movies out there, they unfortunately exist, and it seems that they're rebooting the series with other actors. But I just kind of wish they had left this at the three films, and that the trilogy was kind of all it was, because I think it's a beautifully. I know that the two sequels weren't as warmly received, but I do think, like, the further time that sort of moves away, from when they were originally released, the more it just feels like this really well constructed story that's told over these three chapters, and yeah, I just love it to pieces.
Yeah.
And if that hasn't become evident by this point.
As a Disney franchise, it was indeed very magical, not at all tragical, which is the opposite of magical. No, and I agree. It is a cash cow that Disney needs to milk. I mean, now they're trying to make their other rides have movies, so that will be interesting. Like the Tower of Terror.
Yeah, it's like, because clearly that's the lesson to be taken from Pirates of the Caribbean. That as long as something's based on a theme park ride, that's a recipe for success, even though that was the very thing that had them terrified that this was gonna fail miserably.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and now, like, so many of the rides are just themed around their movies, but it's just such an excellent action adventure franchise. I miss it. I wish there was more things like this out there. So it's a delight to watch them again, and just these three, because the other ones don't exist.
I mean, they're terrible. We can just say that they're awful.
You're just like, oh no.
I mean, I know that, like, obviously there's people who are critical, more so of the second, the second and third films. But even if you are, I think the thing that can't be denied is the great characters, and the great dynamic between all the actors and everything, which is something that I think the other two films, among other things, they lack that. And so I think and plus these films have a very strong directorial vision as well. What Gore Verbinski did with these films was extraordinary, just because they're very stylistically their own thing. Not there's I know a common thing I have about modern blockbusters, which we won't get into specifics, but it is that they tend to feel like they're all cut from the same cloth, and that was not so with Pirates of the Caribbean. They're wonderfully unique.
Yes, I 1000% agree, and that's definitely a reason why I love them so much, is because it's something new. And I mean, I guess I would say original. I mean, yeah, it's based off of a ride, but come on, that's just like an interesting thing about it. But it's unique. It was definitely a risk, and
Oh yeah, well
They made it so much fun.
everybody was sure that the first film was going to fail colossally because I think I read an interview even with Keira Knightley where she was like she was kind of embarrassed to be doing it because she thought for sure it was just gonna be considered a joke after it came out, and then to everyone's delight it was not only a spectacular film but that it was a massive success.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Uh,
Yeah, so that brings us to the end. And I do want to say, even though we already talked about the post-credit sequence, for me, it really is the one post-credit scene that really works for me a lot because I feel like it's the actual ending of the story versus we're teasing something to come in a next. I mean, I know obviously eventually in in the fifth film they did get around to like bringing back Will and Elizabeth's son and all that, but at the time it was not intended to be teeing up for another film. It was meant to be a dramatic grace note for their story and for the ending of the trilogy. So for me that's why it works, because it's meant to service the story of this film. So, but yeah, so I guess that's about it. Do you have anything else to say about the movie or the trilogy as a whole before we wrap up?
I think we said it all, but I mean, I loved it. It was action, adventure, characters. It's everything that you could want and more in a trilogy, and I hope that like we get more of these, and we'll see. We'll see. Until then, I've got Star Wars television.
And yeah, and I'd big thanks to the makers of this film for not just gifting us with some great movies, but also introducing me to this beautiful young lady. And
yes,
and I've never quite been the same after. So
no one has, but yes, so, especially you.
Which it was so funny because before we started today, you said how you finally saw the Knights of Keira Instagram, and you were cracking up at like how many freaking followers.
I was giggling in bed. I was like, "Oh my god, what? Almost 8,000.
It's ridiculous."
I was like, "Wow, you're famous." I was like, I didn't know I was part of history here. I know. Are you printing those shirts? Can I get one?
Yeah, they just. Can
you send me a link to the shirt, please? I need it.
They just care about the pictures. They're obviously not paying attention to anything I'm writing on there because I don't get many of them showing up for the streams. So yeah. Oh but no. I got a lot of joy out of your reaction to that. That was great.
That was great. I was laying in bed and I saw it and I'm like, oh my god. I was like, wow. You have a full on like King in the Stan account. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. So
I've never, you always wonder like who's behind that, and I can't believe it. It was great. Yeah. It was the best part of all of this, probably.
Yeah, always wondering.
Congratulations.
Always wondering who these mentally disturbed individuals behind these accounts are.
No, I'm wondering who these geniuses are that are providing me the content that I need. Thank you very much. Well, now I follow it and I get more Keira photos on my feed, so I'm very happy and I'm very proud of you.
Excellent. Yeah. So, yeah, that's it for today. I gotta say, this kind of feels like it went by quickly. Probably because there was so much in this film.
So much Keira photos.
Yeah, this is true. Like, yeah, I love how we got to a point where I just kind of wasn't saying anything. It's like, okay, just put up the Pure picture.
We're all enamored by her beauty.
All right. So once again, everybody, tune in to Here Be Dragons tomorrow because Steven's going to be talking to Clint from Learned Hands, and then next week Kelly will be joining me right here for a talk about Sin City. So come join us while we talk about that. And yeah, so thank you all for tuning in. Had a lot of fun tonight.
Thank you.
It's great. And yeah, thank you, Christina, for coming on. Once again, let the people know how they can find you.
At Lady X Triple on Twitter and at That Wild Blonde on Instagram are my public profiles.
Okay. And I always forget to say this, which may be the reason why like I haven't gained any more subscribers in a while, but like if you're new to this and you're watching, please subscribe to the channel. Just click the button that's in the corner of the screen down that way. Yeah, so obviously I'm I'm much more intelligible when I'm not talking about, my crush. So
crush.
Yeah, so coming back next week, I'll probably be more more focused. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys have a. Sorry, I got it. I got it. Nobody wants that. Nobody.
Oh my.
Okay. Hope you guys all have a great night. Thanks for tuning in, and see you later. Bye.